I'd like to call the order of the Plan Commission meeting for September 7th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Attendance roll call.
Commissioner Groff, Commissioner Oliver, Alderman Madden.
Here.
Commissioner Kazana.
Here.
Commissioner Buckmaster. Here. Commissioner Bartlett.
Here.
Mayor Pifulski.
Present.
Planner Chizbutowski.
Here. We have a quorum. Thank you. Statement of public notice.
The agenda was posted and distributed to all news media requesting notification in accordance with the open meeting laws on Thursday, September 2nd.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes from...
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They're approved. Thank you. Consent business, resolution PC 059 2021, approval of a two-lot extraterritorial survey, certified survey map for the Kindra property located in the town of Norway.
Move to approve.
I will second it.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. New business for consideration. Resolution 056 2021, approval of an annual review for Fry Auto located at South 106 West 16301 Loomis Road, tax key number 2293.996.002. We want to make them.
Nobody wants to talk about it. Move to approve.
It needs an emotion? Okay.
Yes.
Did you make the motion? I'll second it then.
All right. Discussion. Adam, you want to get us up to speed
Sure.
of where we are?
So Fry Automotive has been located on the south part of City Muskego for I think it was almost 25 years now. Their current location, I believe they've been in since approximately 2011. As part of their duration in Muskego, they've been subject to, for the most of the time, if not all of it, annual review inspections. Over the past few years, when we've done our reviews, we've seen more non-compliance. Obviously, Mr. Fry has a good business going there, but with that then comes more items on site than probably should be there. Beginning at the 2019 annual review was one of the more recent times that we had some non-compliance. At that time, for the March 2020 annual review, the Plan Commission met initially. There were a couple violations found on site. A letter was sent to the applicant, and then a week later, the site did pass inspection. So the Plan Commission at that time, though, said instead of doing annual reviews, because there still had to be a letter sent, and we've seen a little more non-compliance, at that March 2020 meeting, Plan Commission basically said, let's do a 6-month review. And we notified the owner, obviously, of such. So come September of 2020, which was a 6-month review, compliance inspection was done. It occurred. There were some issues and violations found again. A letter was sent out after that inspection, and after we doing a follow-up, there were still some violations present. So at that time, the Plan Commission required a 3-month review to consider possible revocation or suspension of the conditional use grant. Then come December of 2020, so that was the 3-month review then, a compliance inspection occurred. There were issues found, and the Plan Commission then basically said, hey, because there's issues, we want you to come back in 3 months. The same thing again, kind of consider a possible suspension or revocation to talk about how to bring the site into compliance. That then brought us to March of 2021. At March 2021, Plan Commission, the inspection, we did find violations again. A letter was sent and a follow-up was done, and the site was pretty much in compliance at that time. And even though that there was temporary compliance based upon the past non-compliance, Plan Commission wanted a 6-month review, but they wanted staff to conduct monthly site inspections to ensure that compliance was achieved during the next 6 months. That 6 months brings us till today. So starting on March 22nd and going through the most recent visit, August 18th, so there were 6 visits done by Aaron on our staff here. Each time that we went out there were multiple violations found, including vehicles parked in areas that either weren't marked or they weren't supposed to be. Some were double or triple parked with making access difficult. There were vehicles parked in drive aisles. There were vehicles parked on the grass. There were vehicles parked on a site adjacent that we believe are related to this business, as well as there were at random times junk vehicles on the site, which the approval doesn't allow, as well as car parts throughout the site and in some areas. So inspections were done on March 22nd, April 22nd, May 7th, June 23rd, July 27th, and August 18th. Each of those found very identical violations. There was no noticeable significant improvement from violation to violation. After each violation, staff did send a letter to the owner, making him aware that this was his monthly visit, and that with that monthly review, there were no changes to the site, and that there still were non-compliance items to be found. Those letters, though, didn't really seem to change much, as one site visit to the next didn't have any significant differences. Photos are included in your packet of each of the visits, so you can see what was going on out there. Now, based upon this, that leads us to today, kind of giving you some of the history. And there's really 2 options that staff can volunteer to the board. Now, the board has to make whatever decision they feel appropriate, whether it's one of these 2 or something different. But the 2 things that staff saw as possibilities, one was issuing a citation for non-compliance with the BSO. Definitely, out of all the annual reviews we've had, this has been the most repetitive violator, unfortunately. And the suggestion with the citations would be backdating to March 22nd, which that's when the first of these last 6-month reviews occurred. And it's customary for us to backdate citations to when the issues were first most recently brought up to the applicant. And if there were to be citations, typically we would write them for failure to follow the approved BSO and CUG and unsightly outdoor storage. And if they were to do citations, like I said, are backdated. Each citation is its own violation, and each day a violation continues or occurs is a separate offense. So to give you an idea, I ran the numbers this morning. So between March 22nd, which is when we started the 6-month review period, till today has been 170 days. And if there's 2 citations, that's 340 days. And the typical minimum court fine is $124 a day. So citations, by default, could be a max of $42,160. That's if they came into compliance tomorrow, meaning today was the last day of non-compliance. Now, when a citation is issued, it's not an automatic fine. It's in the judge and the attorney's hands what happens with a fine if they are found guilty or if they plead no contest or guilty. Obviously, everyone is innocent until proven guilty and has their chance to voice that discussion in front of the judge, but that's what the city attorney would typically be seeking if it were to go to court today. Now, if we would issue a citation, citations don't get assigned overnight. The court system has a lot of people in it. So if we were to issue a citation today, it's probably not going to get in front of our attorney, which is the first step, for at least a month. So it does give the applicant actually another month to get in compliance, because if they were to get into compliance before that day, they can avoid going to trial, obviously. If they talk to our attorney and nothing has changed significantly since that time, the attorney is probably going to set it for a trial date. And then that's in the judge's hands as far as how much the judge would look to fine if they were found guilty. But that's up to the judge. So there's no automatic fine amount, I want to stress. It's just a potential based upon what we typically look to see. The other option, which is even a little more out there, a little more significant, would be the possibility of terminating the conditional use grant. Since we've had such continued non-compliance for the most part of a couple years, the ordinance says that the Plan Commission can recommend to the Common Council to consider a hearing to possibly terminate the conditional use grant. Obviously, we don't want to see that happen, but it is an option the ordinance gives us. So given that we've had these ongoing issues, Aaron, spent a lot of time going out to this site, 6 times over the last 6 months with little to no change on the site, with the site now to the south also having additional vehicles, which aren't approved for any of those operations. Staff is suggesting that Plan Commission figure something out that's actually going to make some change. Because at this point, it is not in compliance. So the resolution does have the idea, the statement that a citation is recommended to be issued and the termination. Obviously, those are just put in there so Plan Commission can either choose to remove one or both of them if they wish so, or add something else if they would like. So it's really in the Plan Commission's hands.
Thank you. Who wants to start this?
I
Commissioner
have a
Guzman.
question. If the citations are approved before it goes to court, then it's taken care of?
If citations are issued, and those will assign a court date,
Right.
if the site would be in full compliance before the court date, our attorney has to work something out with them. Usually they do a very minimal fine of just to cover some staff time. That's really something we would talk about administratively with the attorney.
Then 30 days later, if the violations occur again,
Then it would be starting the whole new process over again, you know.
so the history would be wiped clean technically, and he'd be
It
starting.
would be, but what we have historically done, and this could be something I think written into the record, is when a property has been a chronic violator, and I'm not just saying a business, I'm talking about any kind of property for any purpose, we normally give 2 or 3 opportunities. In this case, they had 6 months of
Right.
opportunities. Normally, if it happens again, it's not uncommon to cite again right away. So, I mean, you can cite repeatedly. I mean, it's not like once you fix it, if it happens again and we get a complaint or the Plan Commission directs us to do so, it can be cited repeatedly, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
And I want to stress, we don't like going that route by any means. I just don't know what else to do at this point.
Has the owner given any reason why he's consistently in violation?
We could ask him. He's right here.
And I would like to.
Mr.
I pass
Fry.
by every day on my way to and from work, so.
Is the microphone on?
Hello? Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad I give you guys something to do, I guess, right? Otherwise you don't have to, I mean, every month I'm getting, can we go back to once a year, I wish? I don't know. I'm really frustrated because, I mean, I'm to the point where, I mean, this ruins my day, so I'm getting one day a month or twice that it ruins. 1 month is not going to give me enough time to do anything. And last time I seen it was probably in February, and all is good and fine. I was going to work on it, and obviously it's not getting fixed. So something's got to be changed here. It started, I had a storage area across the street right by me. I had 97 cars in it, all right? You guys scared the shit out of him. I got kicked out of there. The cars went to the gas station. What am I going to do with 97 cars overnight? It's not going to happen. Of course, you don't like them at the gas station there. They were out and behind the way at an official storage site. I was paying rent there, so I mean, it was his business. It's not my worry if it's legit or not. I don't care. They were out of the way. Couldn't see them from the road, but I guess you guys flew drones to see them, so they couldn't stay there. So now they're at the gas station. I met with my general contractor that built my building about 6 months ago to fill in all that grass with concrete and lights and make it look good. He came here and I think he met with Adam, got immediately shut down. There's no way you're going to spend $300,000 on concrete until you play our game, basically, is what I got out of it. My contractor sent me a different plan, which involves fences and all. I didn't even look at his plan to see what could be done because I don't want no more fences on my property. It just bugs me. So I guess, I mean, the bottom line here, that I have too many cars. So I need to find a solution. And the only thing I spoke with Eileen today, and she brought it up, and I was thinking it was maybe buying the gas station and putting a fence around it, you know, and that's all I got. I don't know, to tell you in a month from now, I'm not going to have as many cars as I got. I'm probably lying because it's not going to happen. It's not. We're so busy. I got short staff. COVID's going on. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe after Saturday I can hire more people. I don't know, but it's all a process. Everybody knows what business is. You know, employees are the greatest gift to God on this earth. You know, I don't want to have any excuses here. I shouldn't have so many cars, but if I buy the gas station, fence the gas station, I could put it all behind there, and maybe we could make this problem go away. I don't know what other solution I got. I told the mayor, he came and visited me a couple months ago, and the stuff I got sitting at the gas station, I was doing 2 a week, and now I'm down to 37. Across the street, I had like 97, so that's progress. Not good enough, obviously, but this is really getting old and causing me stress, and I want it all to go away, but that's the only thing. I haven't talked to Adam about any of this. I know he's the head cheese to talk about this, but I haven't talked to, that's all I can come up with. I don't know what else to do. To move what I got that's in violation, I mean, to a different city, that, it's not gonna happen. There's no way. I can move 50 cars and store them in somewhere in Milwaukee County. It's just ridiculous, you know? I don't know. You got to be real now. By this point, we got to be real here. I don't know what else to do. And I'm not going to take my cars. For example, if I paid $2,000 for them, I'm not going to go junk for $500. I'm not going to do that. It's business. You're supposed to take $2,000 and turn it into $3,000 so you can make profit to pay bills. Well, you know how business works. I'm frustrated. You know, I mean, I got a good business. I got a great customer base. We do our damnedest to try to to please everybody out in Wind Lake, mainly Wind Lake, well, Muskego customers. Support a bunch of people out, there's many people that work there. 25 years I've been doing this, and this is a thorn in my side. I want to make it go away as bad as you guys want to make it go away, but that's the only solution I got, you know? I don't know. I talked to the guy today that owns a gas station, and he's actually moving back in there now. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I'd assume I don't know if he talked to you about what his plans are going on there, but he says he's moving back into the gas station. So I don't know if he's going to start a gas station. Probably not a gas station. I don't know. But he perked up when I told him I might be interested in it. But obviously I got to okay it with you guys first. Well, I did park cars over there without okaying it, but I don't know. That's all I got. I don't know what else to tell you. You know, I'm trying to make progress on this, but don't know what else to do. I mean, if that's a possibility, I don't know if that is. I mean, that gas station's a super eyesore, you know. But, you know, I mean, I'd imagine the first thing you'd say, you'd want the gas station ripped down and all that stuff. And that's all a big process too, you know. So.
Well, what you're doing right now is kind of hoping the problem goes away without a plan. And that's a sure way to failure.
Yeah.
And you're talking about business and what's business, and you know, part of running a business is regulatory requirements. And if you look at the numbers that Adam's talking about, it doesn't make business sense to be buying cars. It actually might make business sense to sell the $2,000 car for $500 because it might end up being cheaper than what that fine is when you're done with it.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know, and we're us as a city and me as an administration, the last thing we want to be doing is finding or beating up our businesses, but you've been giving every opportunity and time. And, you know, I think if you would have came back and you weren't even in compliance, but you were showing incremental improvement every month, but you were going backwards every month. Yeah. JJ, we got to work on this. I mean, this is, and I don't know where the commission's going to go on this, but this area is not zoned for a junkyard. And that's essentially what you've got there. I mean, it's on one of this is really going to be our next key business area, business routes is going to be Highway 36. It's really the only place we have left in Muskego to expand business. And, you know, your solution is either leave it like it is or take another dilapidated property that's probably in violation by itself and fence it around and make it look like a junkyard. So that's not really a solution either. So I'm not here to, you know, give you your solution. I'm just telling you trying to tell you the way it is. And
I get it.
We want to work with you.
But that's all I got. I wish I could I wish I had another solution besides that. I mean, I don't know what other solution there is, you know?
Well, if I'm given to understand, you're buying more cars than you're selling.
Well, I don't know. In 6 months, I went from the storage of almost 100 down to almost just shy of 40. So that's depleting. But
we gotta keep in mind, those cars aren't even on site. Those are off-site illegally, in addition to all the stuff on site that's really bad. Those are stored down here.
Yeah.
And I don't know your business plan, but I'm imagining you buying cars and piecing 3 cars together to make one good one at times.
Yeah. Well,
so that's probably, you know, or you might be selling a car, but still left with the pieces of the ones that you didn't use.
One thing, I'm talking to the contractor, I want to be very clear. If the contractor told you how you repeated it, they were very misspoken. The suggestion was, I don't know if the plan commission will let you expand more sales cars, when the sales cars aren't your huge issue. I think it's more parts cars or whatever cars are waiting things in repair. I said, I think the plan commission would have a hard time letting you do more of something that's not a problem when you haven't fixed the problems that are already out there. They may have taken that otherwise, but
Yeah, he came back and he said that you're not.
I think, they seem to understand too, yeah, there's a lot of stuff and nowhere to put it, and putting more sales cars. Like I said, the thing I'll commend you on is your sale area. That's the area that's usually not bad. That's the area that every once in a while there will be open spots and they're not double and triple parked, It's the area where it's more the parts cars or repair cars or whatever, damaged cars that are really the biggest issue.
Yeah.
Alderman Madden, it's your
Well,
district.
My suggestion was to buy that gas station. Nobody else is looking at it or considering it. And for the moment, it is the perfect spot. And if you put a nice fence around it so it didn't look horrible, he doesn't have to fence the entire property in, just enough to cover his cars until he does get it straightened out. Then he can sell it to somebody else. It might be in much better shape by then. But I understand his problem in moving that many cars quickly. And he's a successful business. He just isn't doesn't plan it out real well. He sells them well, he fixes them good, he just doesn't have it planned out well. And that's the only suggestion I had for him at the moment.
And I'm not looking for the plan commission to design his solution here. We're here to react to what he gives to us. So, it's more of which direction does this commission want to go? Adam spelled out, really what are your options are: do nothing, fine him, move for a conditional use move, or give him a certain amount of time to come up with a plan and come back. Our previous one was give him time to clean it up. Well, we know that's not happening. Yeah. So let's just take that one off the table.
One thing I can throw out that we've kind of done with the court in different scenarios, so I think you can apply it here, is that if you were to go the citation route, which I want to stress, citation doesn't mean guaranteed inherent fine. Citation means your day in front of the attorney and then eventually the day in front of the judge, and the judge will usually try to give time to hash things out. What you can do, and we've done in other projects, is if there was some kind of agreed upon plan, and say you issue the citation just to give it teeth, right? I think that's the biggest thing is, if JJ has good intentions, great, let's just put some teeth behind those intentions. If you issue the citation, and if the plan commission were to put together a plan, if you want to say it, or JJ probably should provide us a plan to say, okay, at this date, I'm going to have it down to this, and by this date, I'm going to have it this, and whether it's one milestone or two or three, whatever they are, mutually agreed upon milestones. And what you can do with the court and via the court is the court says, okay, if you have it done by this day and you meet it all, your fine's minimal or nothing, but if you don't meet that, then it's more. So it gives JJ motivation to actually do it in this agreed upon time frame. I know it takes time to piece that together, but so the citation doesn't mean instant pay me money, because the compliance is the goal, nothing else. It allows a mechanism that puts a little fuel to the fire to encourage JJ to follow a plan that would be proposed. I don't know if that makes sense.
I guess I would be concerned that regardless of what happens, if there's not a physical plan that you develop, you're a business person. You're doing a great job. I hear your frustration, but you're telling us you don't have a plan to fix it. And if you don't have a plan to fix something, it will never get fixed. All the citations in the world, the only thing it's going to do is deplete your pocketbook and shut down the business. So I think there has to be, whether it's to us or the court, a specific plan with benchmarks that say by this date this will happen, and with significant, whether it's fines but something significant says that you do not comply with the plan that you develop. And like the mayor said, we're not here to develop a plan for you. No way. Get a consultant to help you with it. I don't know. But something has to change, because doing the same thing over and over with the same result.
Yeah, I know what that is.
Not going to help anybody.
The plan with the property next door would be something that we'd have to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Well,
either way, we're not, that may or may not work, but we're not going to go through
I think the biggest
details of a plan.
No, I'm not saying that.
I think the big thing is that it's not a car lot at that point. So now it's literally functioning as like a salvage yard, and salvage yard wise is zoning wise a lot more involved than a car lot. If you're not actively selling from it, which, it wouldn't be a car lot anymore, yeah, I think that's it's a whole nother discussion, a very big involved one that may not be a guarantee.
Someone want to make a motion on what we want to do?
I'm still trying to, I guess, ferret this out. I mean, I love that you're successful. Drive by your place all the time.
Yeah.
Been through this since 2003, and so I
96.
got no issue. I'm just thinking, you know, one of the things we do is when we have businesses out there, we expect everyone to play by the rules. And we're lenient, and we give conditions periodically. We approve developments and subdivisions and others with specific conditions that people expect us to enforce and carry through. At this point, I think I want you to succeed. I just don't, with absent a plan. I mean, I think that's your best bet if you just have a plan that addresses all this. And we're apparently not the body that's going to be able to do it. It's probably going to have to be the court. And so I have no issue moving forward. I'm not so sure about how the citation thing goes, but I guess you need to issue those to get it to the court. I'm not interested yet in item 2, where I recommend to the Common Council to remove your CCUG, which would be the ultimate horror story. So that, at least, I'm not in favor of that part at all, because I think given the proper guidance and motivation, I'll bet you'll come through. We're just apparently not the body that's going to work with, that can do it. So I have no problem with item 1, moving forward with the non-compliance inspections and issuing citations, but I would not be in favor of item 2 yet.
If we did item 1 with the citation, could we include that prior to some adjudication of this, that he have a written plan?
So, yeah, I mean, if you guys want to set some kind of milestones here, we can do that. The default process would be come that first court date, which is going to really be with the attorney before even the judge, where the attorney's going to say, well, aren't you in compliance, you know, and he's going to say, okay, if there's some clear light at the end of the tunnel, let's see that. And if there's not, he's going to set it for trial or, you know, to talk to the judge. So, I mean, if you guys were to set some kind of milestone, you know, whatever, if you say, hey, write the citation, but don't have the court date in front of the attorney for 2 months, we can kind of play with that date. We usually do at least a month out, but the way we're doing them with the attorney for that initial, there can be some flex. If you guys want to give them a certain amount of time to say, okay, if JJ can come to this with, number 1, the site being physically better already, but also a plan for the longer term, bigger picture, you know, that's something that we can work with the attorney on. I mean, in the end, it doesn't really say, it doesn't go to the judge on day 1, because the hope is we can resolve it before it even goes to the judge, right, even after it's been issued.
For me, with all due respect to JJ here, I think it should be a plan developed by him, not me. And I don't even want to suggest anything that may or may not work, right? So I think it's a plan that really you need to be comfortable with, bring back before us and say, hey, I'm going to do this on this date and that date. And then I'm more comfortable when you're comfortable, so I would rather just move on with item 1 and adjudicate it.
Yeah, because if JJ were to come in with a plan and say, here, city, this is the plan that I'm implementing, and if we look at it and say, okay, that seems reasonable, in that time, what our attorney will probably do is he'll write up what's called a stipulation in order, which is basically an agreement, a written agreement that the judge will eventually sign that says, okay, if I agree to follow this plan, my fine is X. And like I said, there'll be usually something very minimal just for some basic time. And if I don't, it's, you know, if it's not X, it's Y, and Y is usually the max or something very large, to give motivation to make sure you stick to that plan. But the key is, that JJ creates it so that it's reasonable, you know, to him. But then obviously we're going to have to think it's reasonable. Now, if JJ presents a plan to staff that we don't think is reasonable, like if it's going to take him a year, which I don't know if that's considered reasonable, you know, maybe we would bring that plan back in front of you guys to confirm, you know, that his plan is reasonable or not. But, I guess that's something that can be left to staff's, working with the attorney to see if the plan seems reasonable as far as like, I think timeframe is going to be the biggest question. We know what the plan needs to look like. It's a matter of how do we get there and at what timeframe do we get there?
The other route would be, and I'm not recommending or not recommending it, would be, and I cringe at saying this, give them 30 days to come and plan, come back to the next plan commission if you have a written plan that we can start putting benchmarks on and one that you can start moving on, we can move forward. If you don't, you're going to be then we're going to go the route of the citations. Then it's in the attorney's, essentially when you put it in citations, you're putting it in the attorney judges in my hands because at that point the attorney's not going to be moving forward or doing stuff without Adam and I giving input on it.
I think on that, if the mayor and the aldermen are fine, I would be happy to defer this for a month and allow you that 30-day grace. And before moving forward, knowing though that I think the commission I haven't heard any objection, we'd probably move forward with item 1.
So I could work with, I'm not going to come here and ask you guys, I'm going to work with Adam through the month to see if it's even possible what I come up with.
I would make some suggestions that you look for nearby storage facilities or something that you can do off-site that you think would be reasonable and bounce it off Adam, because Adam's not here to design your plan either.
No, I understand it, but
I think the key is, I know you made a comment that you weren't concerned if people have proper approval for it or not. I think you're setting yourself up for failure to do that. Make sure someone that's going to allow you to put it there is allowed to have you put that there. There's no farm in Muskego that can just allow cars to be stored.
Yeah.
So I know you say it's not your worry, but when if they're kicking you out, it is your worry. We don't want you to be in that bind of, putting something somewhere where it shouldn't be in the first place.
Yeah.
It may encompass you leasing or buying land. To do this, that would fit the proper zoning. You are very close to a landfill, which has land that allows all kinds of stuff.
Right.
So if that's something we wanted to look at just date-wise, because we have submittal deadlines to allow for prep, I don't want to crunch that month into 15 days because that's really when about the next submittal is. You could, my suggestion would be if that's the route, shoot for November 2nd Plan Commission meeting, which would give JJ October 18th as a submittal deadline. So about 5 weeks or so to allow him to put together a plan that he would present to us and then we would bring to you.
I'd like to see some movement by the next meeting. It doesn't have to, even if he's, I've made contact with this property owner or something, because I know, love you, JJ, but I know you. If we put it till November, you're going to wait until the day before the submittal. And we're just pushing this whole thing down the road. And that's not my intention here.
The plan will take as long as deadline we give.
So we can put it for November, but I'd like to see something that
preliminary.
Adam can bring to us for the next meeting of, okay, he's come to me and he's got this general concept that kind of works. Now he's going in, working out the logistics of it or something.
Yeah, if I were to have something the week of September 20th, so it's about 2 weeks from now, that would give us time to have that for you guys for October 5th, which is the next meeting.
Can I move to defer this then?
Defer with those guidelines or?
I think just move to
defer to the next meeting.
Defer, and then I think they will work it out. Is that good? Yeah. All right, I'll move to defer.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion to defer, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's deferred until next meeting, but you kind of get the guidelines.
I'll be in touch with him.
All right, thanks.
Resolution PC 057-2021 recommend to the Common Council to rezone a property from RS1 Suburban Residence District to RS2 Suburban Resident District of the property located at South 81 West 20871 Russet Court.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Alderman Gazan. Commissioner. All right, Adam.
Thanks, Mayor. So I'll start this one this is a little bit different of a process. So rezonings typically go to public hearing in front of the public hearings in front of the Common Council first. Then a week later, typically they come to the Plan Commission for recommendation, and then the following week is usually Common Council action. This was set up for that schedule, but due to the storms we had a few, weeks ago or a month ago now, the local newspaper lost all publishing capabilities during a few-day period, which part of that was when the second notice was supposed to be published in the paper. After consulting with our attorney, his opinion was that digital publication was not enough. We actually needed newspaper publication per statute, so we had to kind of re-notice this. And when unique circumstances, as this was completely out of the applicant's control, happen, we put in our ordinance numerous years ago the ability to take things a little bit out of order. And that if certain questions or comments come up, we can put them kind of back in order, but it allows things to keep proceeding, still meeting all the statutory requirements. It's just they're kind of done in a little different steps. So instead of going to public hearing first, it's coming to you guys first, and then a public hearing will be happening next week, Tuesday. And if there would be any kind of call them significant or major or especially negative tangible comments at that public hearing, this would actually come back to you again at a later date. But if nothing significant or large comes up as a comment, then it would just proceed the normal process. So the ordinance gives us that ability. We don't do it a lot, but we do it when there's unique circumstances outside developer control, and this is an example of that. Now, on that note, if there's anyone in the audience that I think wanted to make a comment, they can fill out a public comment form, just since this is a little different. They're welcome to speak. Otherwise, the public hearing would be next week. So overall, what the proposal is a rezoning. I think we saw this as a conceptual review not too long ago. Rezoning from RS1 to RS2 for single-family subdivision. The proposal currently shows 10 lots, one of them containing the existing house. The other 9 would be new homes, showing 1 outlot for stormwater management, and they are proposing some wetland fill as part of this. So, getting a certain number of lots would be dependent upon the wetland fill permits from the DNR. Otherwise, it does meet the comprehensive plan land use designations of medium density, so it's just a straight rezoning at this time request.
Mr. Merrick, did you want to add, but before you come up, I'm going to give you a choice. So we have a comment that's somebody from the audience wants to speak. Do you want them to go first, or do you want to go first? That'd be great. All right, Ms. Bold.
Should I speak on the 2 different things separately?
Yes, they'll come up at 2 separate times.
Okay. It's been a long time since I've been at a plan commission meeting. Okay, I did want to speak to this one.
Can you just state your name and address for the record?
Absolutely. Deborah Bolton, West 186, South 7543, Kingston Drive. I've been speaking against taking this from, a 1 to a 2. Majority of the properties in the area are still at an RS1. Yes, there are a couple of them that are there that are an RS2. But this is more of our rural area. This is not our center of town where we put our houses right on top of one another. In keeping with what's out there already, what people have bought into, what they're expecting. And definitely, Adam, to clarify one thing, the wetland fill goes before the DNR, but that clearly concerns me. If Mother Nature has decided to make that area its stormwater retention pond, now someone wants to fill that in, that stormwater is going to go somewhere. That retention pond's going to go somewhere, and it's either going to go on the neighbors or it's going to go to the landfill, and neither one of those do I want to see happen. I really don't want a bunch of stormwater going through our dump and seeing what that comes out looking like on the other end. So really don't want to see this basically have the lot sizes cut in half from what I believe is, 40,000 square feet to 20,000 square feet. That is a drastic reduction in size. Don't want to see that happen. It's not in keeping with what the rest of the neighborhood has. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Merrick.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members.
Commission
members, thank you. First of all, to address a couple of those comments, it's rezoned from 30,000 square feet to 20,000 square feet, which would increase very simply from 8 lots to 10 lots, which makes it economically feasible to develop the property. If it was left at RS1, we're still going to put in the same amount of roads, the same amount of storm sewer, the same amount of retention. Regarding the current stormwater, we believe that was man-made. We're not 100% certain. It's there's no way to tell for sure, but it is filled with invasive species. It's populated primarily by canary reed grass, and that is an invasive species here in Wisconsin. The new pond on the low point of the property, which is the southeast corner of the property, is where natural drainage would go, and that's what we would populate with native species. The pond that's there now is approximately 15,000 square feet. We're allowed to fill 10,000 of it without a permit anyway. So all we're asking the DNR for is to fill that additional 5,000 square feet so we could accommodate the home sites there. The survey, the wetland delineation, soil borings, preliminary plat, all of that has already been accomplished. Soil borings show that the depth of the seasonal high groundwater is between 9 feet and south of 20 feet deep. So it drains well, it will accommodate the home sites. The stormwater management plans are in process. The low point of the lot, the pond there now is actually in the high point of the property. The low point of the property is the southeast corner, and that's why we determined that would be the best point for stormwater management. Questions?
I almost had one, but I got it. So I was debating, or your 8 to 10 homes. How'd you quite come up with that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
You had mentioned that you would do 8 homes with RS1.
That's correct.
And then you were doing 10 lots with RS2. And you would use them the same exact stormwater and the wetland. Actually, you'd have to deal with more wetland with RS1. So, all right, I got it. I was trying to calculate that too. I came up with 7, but I think I see your 8 here. I'm fine.
Okay.
So you're good.
Anyone else have any questions?
This got confused.
Guess not. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you could state your name and address for the record.
All right, Nick Wegner. Address is West 208, South 8119, Hillendale. I'm north of the property. My property is, we had 6 acres. I have no problem with them building a subdivision in that area, although not the way it's laid out. I own property right next door to the north. 11 years ago, I built my home. I asked before we had to do a sewer road cut to bring a lateral in. It was 500 some feet back. I asked if I could potentially have that rezoned other than one single house, if I could, because we had to do a state road cut. And I was told absolutely not. At that time, that was good because I had purchased that property for the use of being able to hunt in my backyard and use it for conservation. It's got cherry trees, chestnut trees, oak trees, and stuff, so I'm big into wildlife. So that's why I looked at purchasing that property. At that point, I've been able to hunt in my backyard, shoot shotguns in the backyard, deer hunt, harvest animals, watched in that wetlands area. That does fill up every year. It's deep. My dog at times goes out of a yard and has to swim through the pond, so it gets deep. It normally dries up this time of year. There's no doubt about it. But it holds the water that comes off the hill sites, and the mallards, they breed in that pond. They come walking through. Migratory birds land in that pond. That is that wetland area. With that wetland area, if you fill it in, that's how you probably get your additional acres. Years ago, I talked to the owner of that property, and he mentioned that they were looking at doing a development in the front. And the back land might be, unuseful except the way it's designed now. I said, if that ever happens, talk to me. I'll talk about purchasing that property with that wetlands, etc. What was stated as a fact of that wetlands on a high ground, that's inaccurate according to the survey and according to my property. It is a low land. It catches water from their property and also my property. The way I look at it is if you fill that wetlands in, yes, where's that water going? That water is going to go toward a different property. I was told the way they were going to possibly get away from that is put a drainage system to drain over toward the south. And then for that retention pond, what goes on there, the land use, like was said, it's a rural area. That's why we purchased out here. Before you know it, you're going to run the farmers, the horse farms out and all that too. People get, a point they feel impeded on, and it goes from there. I look at right now, if, by law for Wisconsin DNR for hunting use, what I bought my personal property for, if you lay out a house within those restrictions, I will no longer be able to use my property for what I purchased and intended it to be purchased for, and was told 11 years ago what I was to do and I could do on that property. So with that said, I think, I'm a home builder myself, okay? Do remodeling, home building. I see how it goes. I don't have a problem with building homes. The thing is just the way it's laid out. I do have a problem with the way the subdivision's set up and for design, and to rezone it, I do not agree. So.
Just to clarify, are you objecting to rezoning from 1 to 2, or that you don't want the subdivision at all?
No, I just reject on the rezoning. That's it. The rezoning is okay. I do not want the rezoning. Originally, when I bought that place, I was told that it could be done as 4 more houses could be in that area, and then plus the original owner's house. When I bought my property 11 years ago, I checked on it all.
But as we're looking right now, there could be 8.
Yeah, and depending on how that 8 is, but number 1 is in wetlands, none of that should be, this is a thing. Muskego is all into conservation, and so is the DNR. And I look at the amount of money that goes into conservation, and as an advocate for that, I see what Muskego does. They have a conservation area for people to walk and enjoy, but why do I have to drive 10 minutes so I can walk around a prairie or walk around a wetlands and have that same type of habitat right in my backyard? That's why I bought it. I don't need to go 10 minutes away to experience that same, opportunity. So that's what I look at for going forward here. From that standpoint, I think we have to look at things, differently. Can people object? Sure, absolutely. In return on this property, they've got it made because Waste Management owns 3/4 of the property around it almost. And nobody from Waste Management's ever gonna come. Because actually there's property right behind mine and next to mine. I worked out a deal with Waste Management to buy, but then it got too close to infringing on their property, so they wouldn't sell the property that lies to the west. So, for conservation purposes, and then Waste Management came back and they asked to buy 300 feet of my back property to do whatever with, and I said, no, I objected to it.
Can I get some clarification, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Do you mind? Thank you. So, just to tag on, you wouldn't object. So, if the zoning stays the same and it's not rezoned, say hypothetically, it's not within our power to create, somewhat, but to shape it, right? Mm-hmm. There's an issue, they would have by right, they could come in and do the same thing, right?
Absolutely.
And, and to the DNR stuff, we face this quite a bit, and I totally understand that happened to me in 2007, but as governors change, this is what happens with, right? So people are just taking advantage of what the rules are now versus and what they were. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to still understand, are you opposed to any development or just specific, or you're more opposed to the way the lot is shaped?
It's configured, yes.
Okay.
Because, you know, in the long run, I mean, we're all here. We're basically, we're renting our own ground, you know, at the end of the day. Anybody can move, anybody can pick up. They could do the development tomorrow and walk away, and then all of a sudden you got 5 houses, right? It's just how it is. I could do development. That's what I had thought about. Hey, because I'm a home builder, what happens if 10, 20 years down the road, you want to extend or something, or this subdivision goes in or whatever. So that's what I thought of my property too. When I did it, plan for the future. Not saying I ever would, but I was thinking plan for the future. I got shot down, so I'm like, okay, no problem. This is exactly the route I want to go. I want to use it for hunting, this and that. Circled all the areas. Their house is far enough to do our hunting. They hunt also in the backyard. Granted, you know, that's going to all be gone once, you know, for them, once they do the subdivision, which is fine. I'll still be able to bow hunt. I get it. You know, I looked into that. But, you know, other aspects of filling in the wetland and that I don't believe with this plan, I don't agree with it.
Okay.
So I do object to having the property rezoned. To make that clear.
Got it. Thanks.
So,
I'm not sure we're.
Yep, so I just
feel
want
bad,
to.
I'm not sure where we have the power to actually do exactly what you want.
No,
Maybe
I'm
that's a
not saying you have to do what I
conversation
want.
between you and the developer. that
Yeah,
may
and we
work
can
out,
talk.
but,
I'm
yeah.
just stating this is what I
got
see,
it.
and if
And
you're
I
acting
appreciate
for
that.
objections.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Could I ask a question to Mr. Merrick?
Sure.
You had indicated that as it currently stands, you could only have 8 lots and your reconfiguring would give you 10, correct?
That's correct.
And you said that it would not be financially feasible to do 8 because everything has to be the same. My question is, number one, if you did 10 lots, you're going to sell the lots, right?
Probably build the houses and sell the houses, yes.
Okay. So if you have 8 lots, don't you just sell the lots at 20% more?
Well, that would be great if it worked that way, but it just doesn't. Lots are worth X amount.
Really?
And just because you're not going to garner 20% more because you have 30,000 square foot lot instead of a 20,000 square foot lot. They're worth basically the same amount of money.
I think that's an opinion that I don't necessarily agree with as someone who's in the industry.
Fair enough.
But
I think lot prices increase dramatically if you're going to 3 acres, 5 acres, something like that. But from 20,000 to 30,000 square foot lots on sewer and water, I don't think that in my opinion,
okay.
I don't think that.
Do you have an anticipated sale price of the lots? I would imagine they're going to be a little bit different, but
Yes.
the range?
100 to 125,000.
Okay. That's pretty low based on what I've seen in Muskego for lots.
For a captive subdivision, it's pretty high. So if I'm building all the homes on there, if you go to other captive subdivisions that Newman or Carrick or Bellman are building, those lots are $70,000 and $80,000.
And we're not here to pick apart his business plan. So
Okay.
just-
Additionally, the pond, by DNR standards, I'm allowed to fill 2/3 of it regardless. So we're not asking for much more. And that pond, as we sit here today, I think is basically dry, is it, Julie? It's dry. It stays dry most of the year. And it's going to be replaced by another pond. And it is, according to the topographical survey, the high point of the property. And the southeast corner is low by, on the topo, I believe it's low by 20 feet.
Okay. Thank you.
So
Anything else?
I guess I just want to remind the commission, so even if you approve this rezoning, all the configuration of the lots, the plots and all that has to be approved through engineering anyway. So, correct?
Yeah, as far as drainage
Yeah,
and grading
right.
and
So-
stormwater.
We can take his word for it if you want, but it's not going to matter because the engineers are going to give it a once over. And
That's correct.
if he's wrong, he's wrong. It's just, that's just simple math. Any other questions for Mr. Merrick, or do we want to continue the conversations amongst ourselves?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Name and address.
My name is Julie Strand, and
Can you spell your last name?
Strande. And I'm the owner of the property at this time and the house that is already built on there. And my parents built that house 18 years ago. And so they owned it, we owned it for the last 18 years. And so I have seen 18 years of that pond or that wetland that they're calling it. And I can attest that there's very few years that fills up. And those years, it's not deep. I mean, we have crazy friends who have taken their four-wheelers through there and their Jeep through there, and it doesn't even really go near the doors. And I'm just saying that I have only seen a duck in there once, and what's in there mainly is frogs. And they're very loud, and it's like once a year, and then it just dries up. I mean, I agree. I love that property, the land. It's beautiful, but it's, there's that, I don't know what the acreages are of the abutment to the landfill. Waste Management owns that whole back strip, just to be a buffer zone between our properties and the landfill, so.
Thank you. Thanks. And I just want to remind, we're here for the rezoning. Anything else is other approving bodies, so.
This still has a hearing, it goes before the common.
Council, right, and
And the idea is if the comments are substantially the same, it wouldn't come back.
yeah, right. So depending on what's all talked about at the public hearing, I'm guessing there's probably a good chance it's coming back again also.
Good.
Any further discussion? I'm going to do a roll call vote.
Okay, Alderman Madden,
Yes.
Commissioner Gazana,
Yes.
Commissioner Buckmaster,
Aye.
Commissioner Bartlett.
Aye.
Yeah, get a vote.
Mayor Pafalski.
Aye.
And that's 5-0.
Thank you. All right, moving on to PC 058, 2021, discussion of a conceptual land division for John Whalen of the Glen at Park Highland LLC located at South 66 West 17626 Martin Drive, tax key number 2173.995, 2173.996001, and 2173.995.001.
This one, we don't need a motion as it's just a conceptual discussion. I'll just kind of do a quick overview, and then I know the development team has some things they want to go over. So basically, the proposal in front of you, or the concept is conceptual land division to take what are currently 3 lots, which was the former location originally of the Nike missile control site, so not the actual missile site, but where they controlled everything from, and then was most recently, still numerous years ago, the location for Reynolds Machine Shop. So because of that, it does have an industrial zoning, kind of had it by default just from the prior uses that were out there. As far as the proposal, they're proposing a 45-lot single-family subdivision. They're also showing 4 outlots that would be for mixed uses of stormwater, open space, and different neighborhood amenities. Just always a good reminder for the Plan Commission that, conceptual discussions is the developer's chance to solicit comments from the Plan Commission. So please let them know your thoughts and things on that and such, and that there isn't any formal approvals granted tonight, more just that discussion. As far as the layout goes, the overall plan with the 45 lots, first, I guess I'll put a little bit of perspective. Located on Martin Drive, located west and north of this site are Park Arthur. Located east of this site is Kirkland Crossing, which was in front of us last meeting. And south of this site are Marlin Meadows, I believe it is, and Copper Oaks, which are, two existing subdivisions, single family in nature. As part of this proposal, with the concept, the 45 lots would be single family, straight, normal lots. But then the development would be set up similar to a condo. So there would be an outlot that would have a clubhouse, pool, I think a pickleball court, some other amenities, as well as some trails. So even though you'll have your own lot, you'll have your, your property owned, you still would pay like an HOA or condo type due that would cover those amenities, as well as those dues will also cover maintenance on your property. So things like snow blowing and shoveling and grass cutting will all be paid through the development. So definitely a little bit of a hybrid, not quite your straight single family, not straight a condo, kind of in the middle. As part of what they're proposing, they would be asking for, in their proposal, they talk about a planned development zoning. That planned development zoning district, they're basing it on a base zoning of RS3, and as the Planning Commission should recall, they always pick a base zoning to start off of, and then kind of tweak that from there. So as part of the RS3, they are looking at the Rs3 Plan Development. They are looking at some amendments to what the RS3 normally would allow. So if you do look at your packet, there is a breakdown of a table. We provide what they're looking for with their plan development. We provide what a traditional RS3 is. We provide Kirkland Crossing just as perspective as it was just recently discussed and immediately next door, and then a traditional RS2, which is predominantly found to the south of this property. With their zoning, normal RS3 would be 15,000 square foot minimum lot size. They're asking for 10,000 minimum, with an average lot size being about 12,100 square feet. They're asking for an average lot width of 80 feet at the base building setback. Typical RS3 is 100. They're asking for 25 foot front. Typical RS3 is 40. They're keeping the sides the same at 10. For corner or side streets, they're going to go from 40 to 20 from the RS3. For rear, they're actually increasing it from 15 to 20. They are asking for 10% more floor area ratio. So instead of being 25% floor area, they want 35. And then for open space, instead of being 10,000 square feet or 75% of the lot open in RS3, they're asking for 65% of the lot area. So as far as the general proposal goes, they would have utilities improved in here. So it'll be curb and gutter. It would have sewer and water. They'll have their own on-site stormwater management. One of the things that's in the calculations from the development team is they do accommodate or account for some right-of-way that the city has in excess, that their hope would be to request the city to vacate that right-of-way to them so that they could use as part of their purchase. So some of the, I think it's about a 1 acre area off of Martin Drive would possibly come from that. They are currently showing some stormwater being located off-site in a city park. One thing that our city engineer has stressed pretty diligently to staff was he is not in favor of this concept. We have some similar and older areas, and it's caused problems to the city, but that's really a different discussion probably if this were to move forward. And then overall density does fit within the medium density land use category. Now currently the property is not set up as medium density, but as part of some future comp plan changes, we are proposing this area become medium density, which is similar to Kirkland Crossing next door. And density wise, they're at about 2.11 units per acre.
So this is just for discussion purposes?
Just to give the developer direction of we don't like, but if you fix this, essentially it's a kicking the tires type thing.
Yeah, before they spend too much going any further, this gets their feedback.
Before we want to talk, do we want to hear from Ms. Bolton, who filled out?
Sure.
Get her support or objections to this on the table right away.
Do I have to identify myself again?
What? Okay.
Do I have to identify myself again?
No, you're fine.
You got it.
Okay. Well, like I mentioned to Adam earlier, thank you so much for that easy to read chart. I want to, as a commission, to recommend to the developer, one right now as it is proposed, an unequivocal no, please. Why? On multiple standings. One, this plan development as a joke. We're using RS3 as a guideline, but by the way, ignore it. We already want to go 2/3 of lot size. I mean, RS3 calls for 15,000 and they want to go 10. All right, out of the gate already, this plan development is taking the zoning and whipping at the bird. That's kind of silly. like Adam also mentioned, they want to redirect their stormwater into the city's stormwater and make it the city's responsibility to be responsible for that. Again, we've got enough problems, we've got enough responsibilities. We don't need to take on a developer's stormwater for him. So that's a problem with this development. Please tell him that you believe that, if you agree with me, I guess. And third, that chart clearly spells out what was recently approved. Right now, with the comprehensive plan, this is not spelled out to be this dense of a population, of a development. The idea going forward for the 2035 plan is we're going to permit a little denser than what it currently is in the 2020. But what is on the books right now is the 2020. So they're clearly asking for something far denser than what is there. So please, in your guidance, look to what you have approved, what you approved in the Kirkland Crossing. Kirkland Crossing right next door, you approved something with the much more in keeping with the RS2. If you're going to give some kind of guidance, say, hey, look to what we have approved. We liked that. That's what we want to see more of. We don't want to see this 10,000 square foot lot business. That is too dense for what we've got going on there. Regarding the right-of-way on Martin Drive, again, there's this assumption that we're going to put all this in there because we're going to buy this land. I think that road right-of-way was there for an important reason. I've driven that road, and I have always driven it in the passenger seat with a boat behind. And when we go down that road, I am constantly in fear that I'm going to end up in the ditch. The turn there, the narrowness of that street, that right away there is there for a reason. You've just put in a new subdivision at Kirkland Crossing, which some of the traffic is going to feed onto Martin, not all. Some of the traffic's going to feed onto Martin. Now something is going to go in here, I'm sure of that, which is going to, again, put more traffic onto Martin Drive. You may need to widen Martin Drive to accommodate all that traffic, whether you have left turn lanes for the other subdivisions or whatever. You really might want to consider keeping that right of way, or simply widen that street a little bit or straighten the curve, because I cannot even imagine doing that road in inclement weather. It terrifies me on a clear, bright, sunny day to drive down that stretch of road. I would not want to do that in snow and ice for sure. So do not, really think really seriously about that right away. We need to keep that land, keep those people who are going to slide off the road out of those people's backyards and out of their bedrooms. So please, when it comes to guidance, let's keep this density like what you've approved already. Let's not send the stormwater into a municipal stormwater retention pond. And let's keep that road right away for what it was intended for, road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before the petitioner speaks, I thought maybe I would make a comment so they could address that.
Sure.
And you stole my thunder on the RS3. Perfect. This would be a hurdle for me. This is clearly even lower than RS3. I mean, from going from 15 to 20 to 30 in this area, I guess I would have a hard time taking that. I would like to see if you do the RS1 and you rezone it in a PUD and maybe do some 22,000 square foot lots, I could see that, but this seems excessively dense unless we're getting something crazy out of it. So that would be my comment. As far as the layout and stuff, I think that comes, after the density is adjusted, but that would be my thoughts.
Alderman Guzada, or Commissioner, sorry. Keep on,
Yeah, I just
keep
got
on making you want to do more work.
Thanks. First of all, I like the idea of the amenities. That really adds something nice to the development. But I have a serious problem with 10,000 square foot minimum. Even with the average at 12,000, that's pretty skinny in my opinion. And with that, if you were to go to that small of a lot, then you would need the 35% floor area ratio to accommodate the houses. And I think that 35% is just way too high. So my suggestion is sticking at the R3 15,000 square feet with 25% floor area. I just think it's just too small. You're really going to be packing a lot of house on a small area of land.
Commissioner Bartlett, anything to say?
Yeah, since we're all going, I guess. Yeah, I have considerable issues with the density. Having owned a house in Copper Oaks right across the street, I think this is an injustice to that. Being now still a neighbor, I had problems with Kirkland Crossing, but obviously we all moved ahead to approve because they checked the boxes. I being a neighbor to that, you all know I struggled a little bit with that approval. But this one even though the amenities are there and you're offering some things, it's just not enough to offset the density. I'm much like the gentleman that just spoke, where the neighbor's coming in to do some development. I feel it coming in, and at the same time, though, this is what our future planning does note, and as a board, that's what we're up here to decide. So, but we aren't here to go that dense, that I know. So that's where I would stand today.
Thank you. Alderman Maddie, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I agree. I like everything about it, but the size of the lots. They really are, it's too small.
So I struggled when we started this today, like, we've had discussions with the developer on this throughout, and I was gonna maybe talk first or last. I'm glad I went last because pretty much you guys mirrored everything my concerns are. I was shown this initially, and I love the concept. I mean, this is something I would like to move into. There's just nothing on our books that would let this fit anywhere now in Muskego. And then put it between, if you remember a month back, the RS2 rezoning for not RS2, the Kirkland Crossing rezoning, that was a struggle getting through. This is half. I mean, I just don't see this working here. So, I mean, the concept itself is fine, but the size of this is it's way too dense, especially for that area.
It's a real strange thank you for taking down a missile-based, trashed industrial site to turn it into something that's going to be a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm struggling to say you're welcome. Because that's what it was. We spent $1 million and we overspent so that the guy would clean it up and certified that it's cleaned up so we could build something nice. And I don't understand why we get trashed before we have a chance to show you what this would look like. When we built it in Cedarburg, we have a 1-minute video and everyone could at least see what it would look like.
We can gladly show the video. Plan commission members spoke first.
Right.
Yeah, we can pull up the video.
I mean, it's like we're getting shown the door before we even had a chance to kind of really present to some that are seeing this for the first time what we're going to present.
Yeah, well, we got it all loaded up. We had trouble getting the video because we didn't get it till after IT left, but we were able to pull it off your website.
Not sure it matters, but. This is Cedarburg. Home prices in Cedarburg are a little higher than Muskego. That's a clubhouse right there on the left. It's a country, comfortable look. These lots are actually smaller than what we're presenting here. On average.
What size homes are on these on average?
From 1,600 to 2,600. You don't see a fence. It's manicured. We're gonna have ponds with fountains. This is what we're seeing all around the country. That's why we want to bring it here. Cedarburg, 69 of these, they ate them up. An average price point of $600,000 will have a pool, bocce court, a pickleball court. So it's real easy from above an aerial to go, oh, this is going to be small and tight and not look good. But if anyone wanted to drive up there, I'll give you a tour. There's a reason these are sold out in 2.5 years. This is what we saw happening in Vegas and down in Texas and in other places where it's single family. Everybody likes to own their home, but it's taken care of. So wherever you live, if you're a neighbor, you're not going to have to worry about some shed in the back or a fence going up that looks lousy or somebody storing something off the back, because there's covenants and documents that will make this place look classy for years to come. And in terms of sharing the pond, that was only an effort to help improve it, make it bigger, do a walking path and sitting around the pond, putting in, at our expense, plantings around it that'll make it look great and natural, much better than it is right now. And it'll prevent people from coming. You know what'll happen? They go to Park Arthur and they fish in the city's pond. Well, they're going to now venture over and we'll have issues with a private pond and people having to kick off folks fishing. We just want to make a bigger pond that would be aesthetically better for the city. That's all we're trying to do, not to shift any burden of expense or maintenance. Trust me. So.
Any questions for the proposed developer or any comments for him?
I mean, obviously I get emotional because I care about Muskego. I got relatives here. We're in our second neighborhood and we're going to do that one in a spectacular way. We've already sold 15 of those and the infrastructure is just going in at an average price point of about $495. So, you know, I guess I'm just pleading that you guys understand. We're not trying to come with something, and we didn't worry so much about RS anything. What we're trying to do is build something that's going to be sharp and classy and a little different than 100 lots next door or whatever else is all around. Because I think that's what makes Muskego special. You're going to have these things that are, New Berlin would die to have this. They would die to have this. You don't need all of the same lots all over northern Muskego. I mean, that's my opinion.
And I reached out to Cedarburg. They didn't call me back ever, but I did my own digging and looked at their zoning. And a big thing with Cedarburg is their zoning district, because I think it's good to compare apples to apples, and if not, or if the same, their base zoning districts in the bulk of the city are a whole different world compared to ours. I mean, their most dense zoning is probably like some of our smaller lots, and they allow very, very small lots. And so I don't think it's a question of, and this is something we've talked to the staff level, and I've talked to some people around here, is it's not a question of is it a good product, it's a question of, is it the right for the area, and that's what Planning Commission's obviously here to discuss. But, our zoning and Cedarburg's are world apart when you look at what they allow by right versus what we allow by right. And so I think it's a little bit hard to do an exact comparison, even though it's good to see what it can be. Very, very different zoning ordinances.
I think it's accurate, Adam, absolutely. But what I would suggest to you guys is Cedarburg is down the road, meaning it's more built out and it's developed to have that variety. There's no question you can go find huge lots.
Sure.
And big numbers in Cedarburg and lots of space. I just think Muskego is now where Cedarburg probably was years ago. You got a cool downtown that's really starting to get going, right? And you make some great changes on Janesville. I think that's probably the biggest reason that you see the way it's evolved.
I don't think go on.
I just wanted to add, there was one comment on the right-of-way, and we did dig into that. It's not just a random ask. Martin Drive, years ago, was rebuilt. It was a dangerous curve. There's surplus right-of-way there right now. We match the 60-foot width that is Martin Drive, the whole distance. So we maintain the right-of-way for that entire stretch. Right now, you have just over, I think it was an acre of untaxed, underutilized land, and we're just trying to bring value back to the city by using some of that. So this isn't a land grab by no means. We're just trying to plan appropriately, There's a lot of contours on the land, so we tried to craft the neighborhood in a way that respects the land. We could just bulldoze the whole thing and make it flat and get our lot yield if we want to take that approach, get the lot sizes up a little bit, but we're trying to respect the land. So that's why we got the layout that we did. Some of the base zoning, I mean, right now it's zone M1. I mean, a hotel can go there, or warehouse facilities. I mean, trucking operations. I'm not saying that's the right use there at all. We disagree with that 100%. It's well suited for a residential use. So again, we're just trying to craft something that's unique to Muskego. Just give a different opportunity and different price points for the various buyers throughout the city. So we're just trying to bring something new to the city.
The fact that the commission is showing reluctance on this particular proposal and where it stands right now has nothing to do with it being a quality development. I said this in the beginning. It looked, Commissioner Buckmaster had, when you talked about the amenities and, especially the lawn care and everything else that, the maintenance, that's something I know I would like, and I think he would like, but just because we like it doesn't mean it fits in our community. I mean, I also like the, some of the condos downtown that are, 30 feet or 30 stories high and overlook Lake Michigan. Doesn't mean a high rise would fit well in Muskego either. So just because something's quality, we're not ripping on your development or your concept. We're just telling you that this size and this density has no room in our code right now. And it seems there's less than a willingness in this commission to rewrite the code to include something like that at this time. So. Yes, you can make a comment. You got to come up to the microphone, though. Okay. All right, wait. Before you do, all right, do you guys want to add anything? You'll get a chance to come back. So I don't want to.
When you look at the lot sizes, I think sometimes it helps to understand that we've carved out all kinds of common area space, like the clubhouse and all that space that's required for the pool and et cetera. So technically and legally, okay, the lots don't measure up, but if you just do a divisible over the top of it like we did, then you've got lot sizes that are impressive. If you did it that way, take the raw acreage, divide it by the number of homes.
Thank you.
May I ask a question on that? So is it at 2.11? Is that where?
That's what I'm looking at. I'm trying to find that on here. Adam, do you know offhand what the raw density is?
Yeah, the density is 2.11 units per acre is what it equates to.
Which most municipalities would consider low to maybe medium.
Yeah, that fits the medium density residential.
Yeah, I mean, it's the medium in our definition is 1 unit per acre to 2.99 units per acre.
The other developments you did are at what density?
Well, Pellman Farm was at 2.99. I mean, that's a little apples to oranges, right? Because those were attached and everything else.
But density is density.
And 2.99, right? Yep. And then at Muskego Lakes, we're almost a straight 2, because 80 homes on 40 acres, 40.3 acres or something like that. It's almost straight at 2, maybe a little less than 2, actually.
So the difference, what we're trying to propose is a fee simple neighborhood, which means the owners buy the lot and they have a condominium type service, whereas the other 2 neighborhoods were done as condominium neighborhoods. So if we do this as a condo neighborhood, this whole lot size discussion seems to fall on the backfield a little bit, because now you're looking at the entire lot as far as a whole condominium. So that's another option as well.
Agreed.
All right, Nick Wegner again. So I got to commend you on the design of this. I think it's a great opportunity to bring into Muskego. Concerns that I would have is the traffic. At what point in Muskego we keep adding all these subdivisions with more and more lots and tighter densities? We're going to have to put more and more stoplights, and before you know it, we're becoming a bigger city. It's kind of nice having it rural. I believe from my, look at and from doing home building, okay, I think, yes, the density on these lots are too tight. I look at it, areas just say like Franklin, they did Wyndham Hills. You got $200,000 for a lot. Is it possible in Muskego? Absolutely. People can definitely afford those type of homes. I think with like you mentioned, condos, could be, this would be out the door. Well, some of that from Cedarburg looks like condos. When you drive through some of these subdivisions, it feels like a condo association versus being more of a residential. Now, I haven't driven through your development up there, okay? Or maybe I have, just doing some work around there, but I would say from a standpoint of, I think it's a great feature to have in Muskego. I think, for the kids to get out and play and families to, get together. Like years ago, we used to have block parties. I'm sure when you guys were kids, people would get together and do that stuff. Now with something like this, that could bring back some of that. Like you were talking the pond, I wasn't quite sure what you were saying about kids fishing or so, and then coming up to this, so I don't know where that falls in. But if that would be, it'd be a concern because it's right around the corner and how that pond is, how it gets extended out toward the road. If that's the case, that would be my only thing.
The other one that we would attach to.
The top one, or?
Yeah, north.
Oh, okay. Because I wasn't quite sure how that was going, But, I think it's a great idea, and it brings new innovation, new ideas, and that to Muskego, which I think is good, but I just think it's too tight, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Anything you want to add, or do you want more discussion from our side, or? I think the overwhelming conversation here is density, and
I hear you. And then that makes it really challenging for us to afford those amenities and do what we think would be the right thing here. That's the challenge we have. This is a site that's going to require some extensive grading. It's still going to look great. As either Adam said or Scott said, you won't find a better place to live and watch the fireworks in Muskego.
Yeah.
Because we're going to leave the views and so forth,
Yeah. Definitely a high point.
I just hope you understand. I meant what I said when I opened up. We felt it was Red's responsibility to clean the site up. We knew we'd end up paying for that. And we also knew we'd end up waiting, which we did. We were hoping to stand here a year ago. But it took the right amount of time, and it was done right, all the way go through phase 1, phase 2, then phase 3, and then the state's got to certify that it's cleaned up. That should be what we're celebrating here. So, I don't know, we may have, we own it, so it becomes a problem for us.
So just to confirm, the city eventually will be updating the land use plan out here that would recommend medium density land use?
Yeah. That will be the proposal.
yeah, but this wouldn't fall in the medium, not by our definitions.
It meets it in density, it just doesn't meet it with the lot size.
Preferred lot size, yeah.
So if we retool to meet the medium density, then it's more favorable, is my understanding?
Bigger is better.
Bigger is the same as Carity and just about everybody else out there.
Well, I think your concept is completely different than what they're doing.
Oh, like I said, the concept will get lost.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't do.
Work with your design. I don't know. I don't doubt it's good. I get that you're emotional. You're a good developer, I'm sure. I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and I'm not going to be emotional because I think you would have a really hard time getting through the common council anyway. So, and to go from RS1 to below RS3, that's it. It's not going to work, at least for me. So I think we need to move beyond that, take our guidance and bring something else back.
I don't know, did you pay attention to the public hearings that we had for Kirkland Crossings? I mean, that got pretty heated and that was nowhere near this. And, the community, so now you're talking about elected officials that are listening to those. I don't get a vote in that. It's the only place I get a vote. So, so if you look at the elected officials and how they're going to respond to that, yeah, everything about this is cool. except for all the neighbors screaming about us approving it in the meantime. So, that's just something that's going to be an uphill challenge for you to get passed through to council.
You'd find it an interesting footnote then that we had coffee 4 times with elected officials, and each one loved the idea.
Oh, I've floated ideas through elected officials here, and they loved it until it got in front of where they had a vote, and one person shows up and says one.
If you're wondering why we're standing here, that's because we did it. We thought we did our homework.
Yeah. So I just trying to be realistic with you. We don't want to send you down the road and something that's more than likely going to have some strong resistance from a different governing body than us.
I mean, you can always.
You're welcome to propose it, but but that's why you brought it here for conceptual.
I mean, that's up to you. I can't stop you from requesting the rezone.
The comments I heard were always cool idea, just not the right density, especially at least in that area.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
All right.
I can honestly say, I mean, going through the Kirkland crossings, I got an earful myself on density. And there's only been 2 developments that have happened in this community. And the entire time I've been on planning commission in this, I'm on the 3rd mayor, where I've got an earful. And the earful was, we want bigger lots. Why do you guys keep going to these medium density? We don't want medium density, we want larger lots out here. This getting smaller and smaller is not good for our community. So that's the kind of pressure that if I heard it, I'm sure other people are hearing it too. And that's where I stand and why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. I know I like it in the development from a concept standpoint, but the lot sizes are just too small. So.
I mean, if you talk to 4 aldermen and you think you got 4 votes on the common council, go for it. I mean, I think it's a nice place, it's a nice development, but they're ultimately the ones that are going to do it. So, if
This is just a recommending body.
I mean, the plan commission in this case is something that we're giving you our feedback and not trying to jar you in any way. And I know you know that, and it's just disheartening to hear this. So I totally get that.
Well, when you really believe in something,
And if you do, you may just say, well, you got it wrong, and go for it.
You got to believe we're pretty in touch with the empty nesters of Muskego, okay? And I'm an empty nester, and I've got an acre in the town of Delafield. And guess what I don't like to do anymore is take care of that acre in the town of Delafield. So now where do I go? And that's what we hear here. But I don't want a shared wall. So what are we offering them? We're going to offer them something that's different. They still stay in Muskego. Now, if you guys keep pounding out the 1, 2, and 3 acre lots, they'll find other places to go, and that's just the way I guess it'll be. If that's what people want.
Yeah, I mean, 1 acre is fine, but we have smaller lots than 1 acre. I mean,
you do?
The crossing?
You do? Do you think it averages out appropriately to the age demographics?
You said you live in Delafield and that lawn is big. Are you going to move to your Cedarburg?
I'm not moving to Cedarburg. I'll find something closer. So.
Okay.
Right? And if Muskego doesn't have it to offer, I wouldn't come to Muskego. Right? That's my point. Variation of housing stock, Adam knows, it's incredibly important.
Well, I think you have your direction. I mean, we're not here to debate it. I mean,
I know, I get it.
That's our opinion. We gave it, and that's where we're at.
Got it.
So, thank you. Anything else anyone wants to add? No, thank you.
Look good, Jared.
Here, you.
I'm sorry.
That's a meeting down the hall you get to run.
Guys, just off, it doesn't have to be on a record, but I just was wondering for that fry back on that property.
We can't jump back to that by law right now.
We can't?
It's past the agenda. Sorry. If you want to talk to me after the meeting, I'll be glad to talk to you.
That'd be great. I had an idea for him. So
okay. If you want to hang around and talk to me, that'd be great. All right, miscellaneous business, there is none. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned at 7:30.